All right, everyone. Elon Musk weighing in on the border crisis, the borderless Biden crisis, you can call it. He's not really interested in tackling the border, and that's why the Democrats right now are pretending that the Republicans are the ones that are hampering restoration of order at the border. They won't pass a border bill. Yeah, they're not willing to pass a bill that primarily doesn't even involve defending the border and is really just a bunch of bullshit. Just because you mark it as a border reform bill doesn't make it one. Sort of like the Patriot Act wasn't patriotic, clean coal isn't clean, and Antifa does not fight fascism. His proposal is proper, but it's only one part of the solution. Therefore, it's reductionist, although it is a good idea. The idea, link in the description, archived of course, is that you don't need any new law at all. It's not necessary. All you need to be able to do is pass an executive order in order to limit the necessity of processing asylum applications so you don't have an overload of people. It makes, deporting them a much more expedited process. Hey, we caught you. Do you have paperwork and can you show where you are from? So that you are from a country where we would take asylum seekers from because there's no safe third country for them to go to before they cross into our border. No, you don't have paperwork? Bye. Ta-da, it's as simple as that. Literally kick them back across the border. If they have the paperwork, in some cases falsified, I'm sure, then you get processed. You get an asylum hearing. You would have fewer people that you have to deal with, and therefore you wouldn't have to do the catch and release thing. But that's the whole point. Biden doesn't want to expedite that process and defend the border. He has shown not just a reluctance, but a sort of far beyond just aversion to tackling the problem. And there are several reasons why. The first is to bring in a bunch of slave labor. And kids to traffic and things like that. But Biden approves of these things. So do his buddies. The Republicans are all on board with that too, because they look at it from, hey, the perspective of corporations can pay lower wages. That's good for corporations, and we're neocons. The Democrats look at it as a future voting bloc more than anything else. You give them residency in batches, and then you expect them to suck your cock in return. I don't know that that's working. As the demographics of Hispanic voters especially shift, look for the Democrats eventually to talk tough on the border. Still won't solve the crisis, but they'll start talking tough about it, which is all they ever do is talk. This proposal is only one part, though. Just because you've expedited that process and you have taken pressure off the system doesn't necessarily mean that you won't still have record attempts at border crossing. You still need more agents. You still need to complete the wall, and you need to get out of the way of states in order to let them begin defending their own borders to the best of their ability in the absence of the federal government's capability of doing so. And I'm also here to tell something to people as a semi-hardliner on the border, if not the concept of immigration in general. Government is not your friend and can't really do jack about it. The government does not have the resources and capabilities to defend the border, even if you have the 30-foot bollard with electronic monitoring and double the agents and everything else and double the processing centers, which altogether cost a lot of money. It still won't stop everyone from coming. Ultimately, the states have a more localized resource base and are better equipped to do this on their own. The federal government should be welcoming the states helping them on an issue that has become politically disastrous for them. Biden and his cronies they've got pineapple pie in the sky if they think that this is doing them any favors. You're pandering to a minority of the public that really wants an open border at the expense of a large number of independent voters who think that you're goddamn batshit. Well, this appears to be somehow an election strategy more than anything else. Doesn't make any sense. I know that some people say, well, they're just going to legalize them all and then the Democrats will win forever. Well, I mean, you can't unilaterally do that. In this hyper-politicized climate, I doubt that the Democrats will ever have the votes in order to do that. Under the current situation, you'd be more likely to have a number of states force a constitutional convention in order to muzzle the federal government and explicitly allow states latitude over their own borders for the purposes of policing or something like that. Half the states have already signed on with Texas. A couple more, I think, lean in that direction more quietly. Musk's proposal, fundamentally, is a good one. But it has to be paired with other efforts. You do need more border agents. You have to absorb that cost. You do need to complete the wall. That's why I want a second term of Donald Trump, because I think this time around, now that he's got a legal precedent that he can dip into discretionary national security spending to do that, it would be, again, an expedited process. Texas clearly is amenable to it, so you'd probably start focusing there first, especially in the Rio Grande Valley area, and you'd build the Trump wall and begin retrofitting vehicle barriers. It's easier to retrofit, by the way, because the land has already been appropriated, so you don't have to go through the process of eminent domain, which, again, as a libertarian, generally speaking, I think it should be used as limitedly as possible. There was one thing I bitched about as far as Trump's statements on the campaign trail in 2016. It was that he loved eminent domain. That rubbed me the wrong way, admittedly. I'm not as much a fan of it, but sometimes you really don't have another goddamn choice. And, you know, you did choose to buy land that was right next to Mexico. You knew that you were in an international border zone when you bought your ranch or your home or whatever. And you're going to have to take one for the team. At the very least, the government should have to pay double over spot for its right-of-ways and shit like that. That would be a little bit more fair. It shouldn't be able to pay just market. Government wants your land, it should have to pay at least double, possibly more depending on the quality and location. But the border right now is a mess. And we all know it. Even the liberals know it. It's funny, watching liberal networks attempt to defend the Biden administration has become sort of a national pastime, I think, for more people than just me, because it's so asinine. Blaming the Republicans for not passing a dirty pork-ridden bill that doesn't even address the issue. Well, again, what fucking good does it do? Why bother passing the bill if it's not going to do anything? Their hesitance to blame Biden for the situation prefaced on his false claims that Trump's the one that created the problem. Despite record low crossings under Trump, I think 50-year record low, building 500 miles of wall and actually deporting people, the Remain in Mexico policy, etc., Trump did all he could, and it worked. It wasn't perfect, but generally it worked. Now, it doesn't matter how much wall you build if you're not willing to defend it. It doesn't matter if razor wire is put up when you cut holes through it in order to let people in. It doesn't matter if nothing that the Biden administration is doing is helping with the problem. And it is a problem. It's also a political problem. Again, my astonishment mainly comes not from the fact that Joe Biden is a miserable son of a bitch that wants to overload the country with millions and millions of people because he likes chaos and he likes human slavery and trafficking, which he does. What astonishes me is that he thinks he can survive it politically. Because, I mean, you can't. Have you checked the Trump v. Biden national polling lately? Trump now leads in every recent poll. I think there might be a reason for that, and it's moving against Biden and in Trump's direction still. You know, fucking plus 10 on election day. It'd be impossible to have enough ballot printers going burr at that point. You'd lose. You'd have to really hope that the felony charges really stick to him. And then you have to hope beyond hope that people don't generally judge it to be persecution, oppose it, and vote for him anyway. Again, this is going to be the weirdest election we've had. 2016, eat your heart out. The Biden border crisis, though, has become the big ticket issue. The big ticket issue marching slowly towards general election season. We already know what the matchup is going to be. Unless somebody dies or stands down, it's going to be Trump v. Biden. Trump was strong on this policy. He was rated very well on immigration by the American public, including by a supermajority of independent voters. Biden is opposed by a supermajority of independent voters on the same issue. And it is the number one issue. That is going to play a big role in the election. The Democrats are trying to pivot to abortion as though they weren't the ones that got that ball rolling by having late-term abortion be legal in a number of states to an unlimited degree. By the way, in the de facto sense, it's still legal like that here in the state of Vermont, Virginia, etc. Didn't help them. It was funny, the Virginia comments the other day by Biden, they didn't help either. That's about all. Peace out.